Hello guys, once again it's Matt and today we have another video. Thank you all the members, all the patrons, make sure to subscribe and let's get into it guys. So today we have another tier list with the top tier or almost top tier missiles for air-to-air, IR guided for short range, or missiles that are used in quote-unquote short range. So I didn't include, for example, the R-27Ts and ETs. Just for the sake of, it's a very different missile. Although you can use it in a dogfight, they pull 35 Gs. I'm talking more on the side of the Sidewinder, right? The missile that is the secondary weapon of your aircraft, okay? And since there isn't that many missiles in top tier anyway, we are going to basically just divide it in three categories. Almost impossible to evade. Obviously, every missile can be evaded, but missiles that are almost impossible to evade. Good missiles, amazing missiles, that you can use it correctly, but, you know, it's not the perfect missile. And the missiles that are almost a wasted shot, okay? Of course, in between those lines, we can always have something, you know. For example, the R-60M, I don't think it's a wasted shot, but it's not a very good missile in top tier, right? So, yeah. And remember, I'm talking about aircraft that have their top missiles in 11.7, 12.0, and 12.3. Okay, so let's start with the AIM-9H. For top tier, it is almost a wasted shot. I mean, come on, it's a missile that, although it can have a very good range, it's a very, very easy missile to decoy. It doesn't turn very well. I mean, 18 Gs for a top tier is problematic. But the thing is that this aircraft, I mean, I wouldn't say that it doesn't see other missiles. It does see a lot of AIM-9Ls and Ms and R-73s and R-60Ms and so on. But it is a little bit more likely to see just the R-60s and stuff like that, right? Why? Because it is used in an aircraft that is 11.7. So the BR is a little bit better. But still, it is a missile that you need to shoot in a target that doesn't know that you are there. Because if it sees the missile, it's very, very, very easy to decoy, and it doesn't turn very well. So I wouldn't say it's a wasted shot. Maybe wasted shot, it's kind of a like overstatement, but still it's probably the worst missile that you will see in top tier, and it's only used in basically one aircraft, right? So in top tier, so yeah. And remember, I'm talking about top tier, I'm talking about 11.7 upwards, right? The normal aircraft that you will see on the top of the game, okay? Then we have kind of the standard missile for NATO nations and all sorts of allies that they have, the AIM-9L. I think it's one of the best, like, good missiles that you can have, right? It's not impossible to evade unless you are an F-14, because the F-14s tend to make this missile almost unflareable, but especially the F-14A. But it's still, if you know what you're doing and you have at least 1 kilometer from the target, you can evade it. Although it is an all-aspect missile, it is one of the best all-aspect missiles in the game. The problem with it, compared to the other ones they're going to talk about, is the R-60M. It does turn 30 G, so it's amazing at turning as well, amazing range. The only thing that it doesn't make an impossible to evade missile is the R-60M, and that's where the AIM-9M comes. You know, the AIM-9M is the ultimate AIM-9 that we have right now. It is the same missile pretty much as the AIM-9 Lima, but it has two little things that makes it almost impossible to evade: the IR-CCM and the smokeless engine. So with the IR-CCM of it has that system that it shuts the seeker off and on and off and on again if it detects flare. So it can be evaded if the target knows what he's doing. But for the newbies, you know, the people that are getting into top tier, this missile might feel very OP because people need to change directions once the missile is fired, right? And normally it wasn't something that a lot of people did. They just like try to out-turn the missile. Normally it's what you do in earlier missiles, you know. It's just easier to do that. But in this one, it's not enough. So it can turn 30 Gs. The IR-CCM, if you keep turning in the same direction, will get you. So it's a tricky missile, especially if you don't know that it's coming. And with the smokeless engine, it's a very, very good missile. One of the best out there. It has its problems, but it's one of the best out there. Then we have the MatAWG. The MatAWG, it's kind of like, I don't know where to put it, to be honest. It's kind of difficult missile to actually edit. I gotta be honest, in some situations it's better than the M9M, and in some situations it's worse. So it's kind of like depends on personal opinion, what do you like more, but also since the aircraft that use these missiles are completely different, you don't have really a choice, right? So it's kind of different. So where is it different? Well, the MatAWG, the good parts about it is that it turns more than the AIM-9, 5G is more, and the IRCCM, it's technically a little bit more unavoidable. You know, it's the type of IRCCM that limits the size of the FOV. So if you are close enough, it's literally impossible to avoid this missile unless you are really experienced. So it's a very, very, very hard missile. Normally, you won't have the time to actually get the flare out quick enough because it's so fast accelerating. It doesn't have a lot of range. That's where I think it lacks compared to the AIM-9. Overall, as a dogfight missile, I prefer the MatAWG than the AIM-9M because if you get close enough, there's nothing the guy can do. But the AIM-9M, with its IRCCM, it can be a very deadly weapon in the right hands as well. So I think they are kind of a draw between each other. The IRCCM of the MatAWG is better, I think, in my opinion. The acceleration of the MatAWG is better and it turns a little bit more, while the AIM-9M is way better in the long range. It has way more range, and then the IRCCM of it and the smokeless engine makes it so that it's a very deadly, sneaky missile, you know. And if the target doesn't know how to avoid it, it's still the IRCCM can get it, but it's, you know, complicated. Then we have another one that it's problematic for me to actually categorize. For one thing, I think it's one of the best missiles out there. It literally is only worse than the R-73, I think, in a dogfight. Because the R-73 has the TVC, right? But the problem with it is that it almost doesn't have any IRCCM. It has a very large FOV, so it's kind of easy to decoy the missile. But if you don't know that the missile is there, it can do 40 Gs, so it turns way better than these two. So it's, I don't know, I feel like I'm divided. I would probably put it right here because it is almost as easy as the AIM-9L and H to actually decoy, but it turns way better and it has an amazing speed. If they ever add the PL-8B, which is the PL-8 for the Chinese that actually has IRCCM on it, it will be probably one of the best missiles in the game. Probably better than the MatAWG and the AIM-9M, at least. But it's just such a good missile. The only lack part is that it doesn't have a proper IRCCM, okay? Then we go for the R-60M, the old top dog for the Soviet Union. I gotta be honest, guys, I feel like it depends, you know? For the majority of the players, the R-60M is a wasted shot. Because once you are starting to play with the R-60 and stuff, you know, people don't know when to shoot the missile. If you know when to shoot the missile, very close range and stuff, it is a good missile. Okay, it's not a bad missile. I think it's better than the AIM-9H, and depending on situation for head-ons and specific usages, like in very short-range dogfights, it can even be better than the AIM-9L in a general perspective. It's a very light missile that turns very well, and it starts turning sooner than almost any other missile. I think only beaten by the R-73, right? So it's a good missile, but you need to know how to use it. For the majority of the players, it's almost a wasted shot, and you see a lot of people complaining about it. Me personally, I think it's a difficult missile to use in top tier, but it is usable. You know, it's between like a good missile and a wasted shot, I would say. It would be like this, you know. And then we go for the R-73, the last missile that we're going to talk about. I gotta put it in the best missile in this tier list. Because, I mean, it has the same type of IRCCM as the MatAWG, and although technically it's a tiny little bit worse, it's good enough. It's unavoidable, basically unavoidable, at less than 2 kilometers for most targets. The inner FOV is so small that it basically will destroy the target. It's really, really longer range engagements. The AIM-9M will be better a little bit, but the R-73 has basically the same energy as an AIM-9M, and so it has the the long range for an IR missile short range, but the longer range fact. It has the short range fact together with an R-73. It is a 40G missile together with TVC, thrust vectoring, so it will not only turn as much as the Python 3, but it will continue to maintain that 40G for a longer period of time due to the thrust vectoring. And also, it has literally one of the best IRCCMs of the game, right? So at close ranges is literally impossible to avoid it, and it has the best turning capability of all missiles. So yeah, and you have the possibility to kill somebody from far away as well if the target doesn't really know that you're there. From further away, like 3-4 kilometers, it can be avoided because the inner FOV won't be as small as anything else. Of course, it will be fixed at that with the R-73M, but we don't have that yet, and I'm glad that we don't. But yeah, I think it's just the best missile out there. The R-73, it really, really is. Like, if you know what you're doing and only shoot at close range, it's basically 4 kills guaranteed. It's really, really that good, you know? So, yeah, R-73s are amazing. So this is it, guys, my tier list of the top dogs of IR short-range missiles. Do you agree with me? Would you change anything? Leave it in the comments, and I see you guys on the next one. Also, leave it in the comments if you like this type of video, because it normally gets some kind of good views. So if you like this type of video, let me know in the comments. Okay, guys? See you guys on the next one, and bye. See you.